What's happening, y'all? Nick Brown here. Got a video for you. I'm going to be ranking my favorite bowling balls from the year 2024. There was a lot of bowling balls that came out last year from the brands of Storm, Roto Grip, and 900 Global. 25 bowling balls to be exact, not including spare balls. Where do they rank in my lineup? Let's get right to it. So the 25 bowling balls from January 1st to December 31st. Absolute Power, Summit Peak, Optimum Idol, DNA Coil, Harsh Reality, Attention Star, Exponent Pearl, V Road, Hustle X-Ray, Hustle BRY, Tropical Surge Solid, Tropical Surge Pearl, Lightning Blackout, Ion Pro, XL, Harsh Reality Pearl, Summit Ascent, Optimum Idol Pearl, Ion Max, Sublime Focus, Phase AI, Road Warrior, Attention Star S2, Origin, and the Physics Blackout. Let's get into ranking them. So out of the 25 bowling balls, I drilled 23 of them. The two that I did not drill, the Hustle BRY and the Tropical Surge Pearl. So those will not be in the ranking list. I'm going to rank these from my favorite being number 1 to my least favorite being 23. I'm going to start at 23. Number 23 for me has to be the Road. I wanted to like this ball a lot because I'm a big fan of the original High Road. The issue was I felt like it was a missed core and cover matchup for me. Too strong of a cover for that weaker core. It didn't really fit my eye very well. It was very, very situational, and normally for me I like versatility. I didn't see the versatility out of this ball. I just didn't see that ball very well. It didn't see the lane very much for me at all. Very unpredictable for me, and that's why it's number 23. Ball number 22, the Summit Peak. I wanted to like this ball a lot. I was a big fan of the original Summit, so when I heard that we were getting a Pearl Summit, I was like, yes, I get to have a Pearl Summit. And it's not anything that I was expecting it to be. I drilled 2 different Summit Peaks, and I just didn't see what a lot of other people saw out of it. I didn't see a usability window. It was a very short window. A lot of core. The cover stock wanted to be a little cleaner. I drilled 2 different ones and it just didn't fit where I was hoping it would. And so it quickly got phased out of my bag. Number 21 was the 900 Global Harsh Reality Solid. I'm a huge fan of strong asymmetrical solids, and I didn't match up to this Harsh Reality. I'm not exactly sure why. I was going through a layout change at that time, so it's a possibility that it was a little bit of me and a little bit of layout, maybe not so much the ball. I just had other options in my bag at that time, like a gem or a magic gem, that I didn't see a need for this Harsh Reality in my bag. It was very well received, and it could just be me, but that's why it's number 21. I had other balls that fit that category, and they did it in a better way for me than what the Harsh Reality provided. Then quickly on to number 20, the Exponent Pearl. I was a huge fan of the original Exponent. Exponent Pearl had a lot of promise. The issue was I already had a ball in that slot in my bag, and it's hard to replace the IQ Tour Ruby for me. So that's the reason why the Exponent Pearl got kind of phased out. But the ball was really, really good for the scenarios that I used it in. It's just to replace it in the tournament bag, to replace the IQ Ruby with it in the tournament bag, I still like the IQ Tour Ruby more than the Exponent Pearl. So that's why it's number 20, but it was a great piece, and it could be a little higher. We just had a lot of good bowling balls this year. Number 19, the Lightning Blackout. One of my favorite cover stocks, the Rex Pearl cover with a very high RG and lower differential core. So the ball wanted to really get down the lane and not flare a whole lot. And like I mentioned earlier, I like to throw it a little harder. So with that clean cover stock being super clean and angular, I need a core to pick up for me because I do like to throw it a little harder and be a little more aggressive. The Lightning Blackout sometimes would shoot through it and be too quick off the spot, or if I got into the dirt of the lane, then it would become a really over-under piece. Much like the Exponent Pearl, good piece. I think it just didn't replace anything in my bag, so it kind of quickly got phased out. Number 18, the Tropical Surge Solid, the two-tone purple. This ball, very, very good. for a low-end piece. It is a lot of ball for the money. We've always talked about how hustles are the best bang for your buck. This Tropical Surge is almost hustle territory for, what, another 20 bucks cheaper. Pretty crazy the amount of performance that you're going to get out of this Tropical line, especially the Tropical Surge Solid and the Tropical Surge Pearl, which I did not drill the Pearl. I did drill the Solid. I throw it pretty hard, which I like to do. It lets you stand close to the friction, which I like to do. It doesn't like volume, so if they're a little drier, you're definitely going to want to look at this Tropical Surge Solid. I think it's going to be around for a long, long time, and it was a great piece. Just again, ton of bowling balls that came out this year, and a lot of them blew me away. So that's why this Tropical Surge is number 18 on the list. Number 17, the 900 Global Harsh Reality Pearl. Good piece, Ultra Reality replacement type ball. Huge fan of the original Ultra Reality. This Harsh Reality Pearl would have been much higher on the list had the last 3 or 4 balls of the year not come out. Very, very good piece. Like it a whole lot more than the original Harsh Reality. Harsh Reality Pearl, much cleaner, more responsive, strong pearl cover, picks up in the oil. That famous Reality core, again, it would have been much higher on this list had a few balls not come out later in the year. Number 16 for me, the Ion Pro. I know that's a little surprising to some. I just didn't match up with this one. I wanted to so badly because of the low RG, low differential, and that slight asymmetry to it, where it was going to be the benchmark asymmetrical ball. And for me, I just kept finding myself going back to an IQ Tour when I would use an Ion Pro. For me, you're not going to replace an IQ Tour. It's hard for me to want to throw an Ion Pro over an IQ Tour. You could argue they're not the same ball. That's absolutely correct. They're two completely different pieces, and for me, I would much rather throw an IQ Tour. So that's the main reason why the Ion Pro doesn't make the bag for me. Number 15, the Sublime Focus. For me, the original Sublime, when it first came out, great piece, and then it quickly fizzled out. Started getting balls that replaced it or did it better than the Sublime. For me, the Sublime Focus is really early and really smooth, predictable, fresh type bowling balls. It's a really strong symmetrical core and a really strong cover. It's going to be really, really good on those flat patterns with a lot of volume. You still need that symmetrical core to get into its roll really, really quick. Sublime Focus is really good at blending out the back of the lane. It's just in that phase 2 optimum idle type range, and more than likely I'm going to throw a phase 2 or an optimum idle. So that's why the Sublime Focus is number 15 on the list. But I think it's a phenomenal piece, and if you like that shape, you definitely want 1 or 2 of them in your bag. Number 14, the Hustle X-Ray. I know that surprises some people, but this ball blew me away to start the season out. Bowled a couple of regionals with it. It was really good after urethane. Obviously this year was the first year that we could only throw the IQ 78 on the PBA Regional Tour, and I needed something after an IQ 78 where I can start to move a little further left but not have to shape the lane a ton. This Hustle X-Ray really blended the lane well for me. It's still in my bag today. It's a good piece when urethane is too early and smooth. I need something to get down the lane but still not go crazy. You can drill the hustles kind of like urethane, so that's what I did with my Hustle X-Ray, and it's still in the bag. And for, like I say, the Hustle's the best bang for your buck, and that ball is a lot of performance and a lot of versatility, and that's why it makes number 14 on my list. Number 13 for me, the DNA Coil. Another good piece, strong pearl cover, big core from the DNA. I did not like the original DNA, so I was a little hesitant about this coil, but this ball became a really good piece for me on those harder conditions. Not really a house shot ball. This pearl cover, much slower response pearl, but it looked really, really good when they were harder. Threw it on some short patterns. It didn't get a whole lot of love from the consumer, but fantastic ball. I think it got overshadowed by a particular ball that later on in the list. Nonetheless, phenomenal piece. If you can still get your hands on one, I'd recommend you do that. Number 12 on my list, the Absolute Power. I was a huge fan of the original Absolute. It was a house shot killer for me. So when I heard that we were getting a solid, I was like, yes, I'm going to have a stronger version of the original one, and that's exactly what the Absolute Power provided. I drilled a couple different ones, and I used them mainly on house shots. The cover not quite strong enough for me on patterns. I'd have to hit it with a lot of surface, and again, I have something else that I'd rather throw, something like a gem or a ball that came up later in the year. The Absolute Power, really good asymmetrical piece. That middle of the range cover stock, really good on the house shots for me. That's why it makes number 12. Number 11 for me, the Summit Ascent. Storm took my favorite cover stock from the IQ Tour, the R2S Solid, and slapped it on the Centripetal HD AI core found in the Summit, and by far my favorite Summit that I've thrown to date. Clean and predictable R2S solid cover stock from the IQ Tour, mixed with the really strong Centripetal HD core, provides a very unique reaction. It's still clean through the front because of the weaker cover stock, but it's super rounded and controllable down lane. If you look inside the Summit Ascent, it actually is the same core shape as an IQ Tour. Density changes with AI and just density changes in the core itself creates a much higher differential, so it flares a whole lot more than an IQ Tour. This ball would have been much higher on my list again if some balls hadn't come out since then. The Summit Ascent for me is really good at blending the lane, controlling the back end, but still when I need something to get through the front of the lane, if there's a lot of friction in the front of the lane, but I still need that solid symmetrical ball, I'm looking to the Summit Ascent. And here are my top 10 bowling balls from 2024. Number 10 is the Phase AI. Phase AI was the most anticipated release in the last several years. It created a lot of buzz within the industry. A Pearl Phase 2. Storm took the Phase 2 cover stock, turned it from solid to pearl, took the Phase core and added AI. And of course, everyone went crazy about this ball. This ball created a lot of length, a lot of predictability, quite a bit of shape down the lane. It's not overly aggressive down lane. It's not that super skid snap. It's a very controllable pearl ball. It's got that strong TX16 pearl cover stock mixed with that core. It wants to get into its role. For me, it's a good step down from a Phase 2 or a Sublime Focus. I think it fits in a lot of people's bags, kind of where the original Zen did. It fits in a lot of people's bags. It's well rounded. A lot of people like this ball. Phase AI is exactly what you get out of the Phase 2 if you pearlized it, and that's why it's number 10 on my list. Number 9 for me, the Road Warrior. This ball is absolutely unreal. For a low-end piece, this ball does not perform like a low-end piece for me. It's like a 3 or 4 ball in a 6 ball bag for me. Super clean cover, but it still picks up in the oil, where most times those lower end covers kind of get through the front of lane too much for me, and they don't quite see the oil. This ball picks up in the oil and continues to hook in it, which is pretty unreal considering how weak the cover is. I've used it in a lot of scenarios already. When the fronts get beat up and there's a little bit of oil down lane, it hooks in the oil down lane and it's still clean through the front. I know it sounds like your typical review, but it really does blow my mind that a ball can be that clean and that strong in the oil at the same time. It's going to get a lot of play for me this coming year. All right, number 8, the XL. I was a huge fan of the original Hypercell from back in the day. I never got to throw the cell. I was a little too young back in 2008 when this cell came out, the original cell. The Hypercell, however, was one of my favorite bowling balls of all time. For me, the XL with that really strong nucleus core with the AI technology added to it, and not a super aggressive solid cover, just a plain reactive solid cover that E-Track's solid, and I'm telling you what, this ball is the real deal. When I need something that's cleaner than some of the strong asymmetrical solids like a gem or harsh reality, this XL is a really good step down in cover, but the core still has the performance of those balls I just mentioned. So when I need a little weaker cover, but I still need it to hook in the oil, this XL is one of the best pieces in my bag, and it goes everywhere with me for that very reason. So that's what makes number 8. Number 7, 7 and 8 pretty much are a tie, so I put the XL at number 8, and I'm going to put this ball here at number 7, the Origin from 9 Global. This ball is super unique. It's very different from what we have in the line currently. Strong hybrid cover. It's a 2-part pearl, 1-part solid mix. The colors, beautiful ball. The asymmetrical core, it creates a shape that I haven't quite seen in a long time. It's It's really rolly, but it maintains axis for a very long time. And it's not a skid snap hybrid ball. It's not a super early and chuggy ball. You can put some surface on it and make it a really strong ball, or you can put the box finish back on it with Power Edge, and it's super rolly, clean, and continuous. It's a very unique shape. I like to relate it to an Exotic Gem, which Exotic Gem was one of my favorite balls as well. And to have a ball in that realm, again, is a really nice thing, and I'm a huge fan of this Origin. Like I say, it was a tie between the XL and the Origin. They both gotten about the same amount of lane time for me. Very impressed with both of them. So 7-8, pretty much a tie there. I couldn't really decide, so I decided Origin's a little newer, so put that at number 7. Number 6, the Attention Star. If you had asked me about 9 months into the year, I would have told you it was in my bottom half of this list. I just didn't match up to my first one very well. I didn't see the use for it. I didn't see the need for it. I was going through a layout change, so I'm going to take partial blame for that, because everybody was telling me, man, look, this ball's so incredible. You can do this, this, and this with it. It's just, you just got to see it right. And I kept telling them, no, like, I just don't think so. I just don't really match up to it. Everybody I had talked to matched up to this ball. And so the ball that came out later in the year convinced me to drill another original Attention Star, and I was blown away. I saw exactly what everybody was seeing from it that I wish I would have seen the first go round. This ball is one of the best pearl balls I think I've ever thrown. And again, if you had asked me 9 months through the year, I would have told you, no way. This ball opens up so many windows for me. I can play straighter with it, get my hand at the back of it, get it to go forward really, really quickly. I can get left and shape the whole lane with it. It's just an Attention Star. I've just come to realize that this ball's super unique, and it's made my bag ever since I drilled the second one. So I always like to advise people, hey, if you don't get along with the ball, it could be just you're not getting along with that ball. But it also could be the layout. You may not be getting along with that ball, with that layout, or you could be going through a layout change like I was. Don't be afraid to try another one, especially if everybody else around you continues to tell you, hey, this ball's a really, really good ball. I think you should try another one. All right, we've reached the top 5. These are my top 5 bowling balls for 2024. Number 5 is the Attention Star S2. When I first drilled this ball, I saw a lot of similarities in the original Attention Star, which made me kind of, I'm not sure, because just like I mentioned, I was not a fan of the original Attention Star. My first Attention Star that I'd ever drilled. A little leery about this one, and I started throwing it more and more, threw a little bit more, and I started seeing it, and I was like, wow, I think this is where most saw the original Attention Star, but this one's just a little smoother, a little stronger, a little more unique. And so I started messing around with it a little bit, and it started to blow me away. This ball goes everywhere with me now. It is a really good piece when I got to get left and get around the lane, but I still need control in that continuous motion. This ball's been phenomenal for me, and I'm going to drill a lot of them, just like the original Attention Star now. But the Attention Star S2, I liked it so much that I decided to drill the original Attention Star again. And if it wasn't for the S2, I probably don't ever drill another Attention Star. The Attention Star S2 and the original Attention Star, they're a fantastic 1-2 punch. I start with the S2, and then I quickly transition into the original one once I get a little burn up in the front where I needed to get through there a little easier. The great addition to the Roto Grip line, and I'm very, very excited to have these pieces going into the 2025 season. Number 4 for me, the Ion Max. Didn't really get along with the Ion Pro too much, but I knew when I heard about this Ion Max that it was going to be a match made in heaven. It's a gem-like ball, huge, strong core, really strong NRG solid cover, which I've always liked that strong cover. It is a gem replacement, since unfortunately we did lose the gem through this year, which is a big bummer because the gem is one of my all-time favorites as well. This Ion Max, though, very gem-like, a little stronger down the lane, a little quicker than the gem. But sometimes the gem for me would get a little too smooth, and I quickly had to go to something else. Where with this Ion Max, I can continue to move left with it and I know it's still going to keep coming around the corner. So this Ion Max makes it really high on my list, and I'm going to throw this ball a lot in 2025. 3 for me, the Optimum Idol Pearl. This ball really surprised me. The original Idol Pearl for me was really clean and really responsive. The Idol Cosmos, kind of hit and miss for me. This Optimum Idol Pearl with that super strong pearl cover, the Microtrax Pearl, which is the same cover stock that was on the Exotic Gem. When I heard they were taking the Exotic Gem cover and taking the Optimum Idol and blending them, I thought, oh, this ball's gonna be good, and I was right. This ball has completely blown me away. It's not that clean and whippy pearl ball. It's a very controllable piece, really strong cover, creates a very unique shape. It blends the lane very well. When it starts to become a little friction on the lane, it's still clean enough, but it's not super crazy down lane when you throw it to the friction and it just goes sideways. It's not one of those super clean and quick pearl balls, which I tend to like those earlier and smoother pearls. Number 2, the original Optimum Idol. I was a huge fan of the Idol. When I heard that we were getting another Idol with AI treatment, I was like, oh yeah, this ball's gonna be really good. And within the first week, I think I shot 300, 800, and I think I had a chance at a second 800 within the first week with it. So phenomenal piece for me. Much like the original Idol, it fits there right between like a Phase 2 and an IQ Tour. It's just that well-rounded benchmark ball, and I'm super excited to have it in my bag. Number 1, if you haven't already figured it out, we haven't had this ball very long. That is the Physics Blackout. I really don't know what else to say besides this ball is absolutely freaking phenomenal. That strong Next Pearl cover stock mixed with that atomic core with AI technology has been a match made in heaven. I was a big fan of the Infinite Physics, and they took that Infinite Physics shape and made a better ball. This Physics Blackout is by far my favorite physics that I've ever thrown. It gives me a lot of predictability. It is a benchmark ball for me. I know when I get to throw this ball that I'm going to strike a lot, and I can play straight with it. When there's a little bit of oil out there, I can put some surface on it, make it hook more. I like to call it the asymmetrical IQ Tour. Anybody who's been around me the last few weeks getting to throw this ball, I've been telling them all, hey, this ball, for me, an asymmetrical version of an IQ Tour, because I can do anything I want with an IQ Tour. It's just sometimes it's just not strong enough on those higher volumes, and I have that in the Physics Blackout. So you're gonna see me drill and throw Physics Blackouts a lot. Alright guys, that's going to wrap up the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you guys so much for watching and supporting the channel in 2024. Made a lot of leaps and bounds. Got a lot of cool things in the works for 2025. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Of course, I got to thank Storm Products for the amazing equipment from the brands of Storm, Roto Grip, and 9her Global. Phenomenal balls this year. Best balls in the market. Got to thank Turbo for the best fit, best grips, best switch grip in the game. Got to thank EFX for the amazing apparel. You can use that code SRGBBFS for 10% off the entire website. And if you're in the market for anything bowling related, make sure you head over to my friends at bowlerx.com. They've been a huge supporter of me for many years. You can use my code NBROWNX for a 10% off discount. Of course, there are some restrictions due to MSRP that the code will not work on. Just throw it in there anyways and see what happens. All I got for now. Thanks so much for watching. Until next time, I'll see you.